I know. I just reviewed a Denzel movie, and there are so many other great actors whom I haven't yet looked at. But the other day, as I was trying to make a list of the movies I've seen and decide in which order I should go through them on this channel, I remembered the Book of Eli. Not that I'd forgotten it. And, well, it's one of those movies that I think is very special. Maybe that surprises you because you've probably gathered that I'm really not thrilled by gore and violence. In fact, if you know me from my Virgin Rock channel, you know that I'm not only not entertained by it, but that I actually strongly dislike it. But there's more to it than that. And this topic of violence in movies, or more broadly, in any artistic medium, I haven't directly discussed this before, but I think this is a great moment to do so. I am myself a very non-violent person. I wouldn't say pacifist, because there are certainly things worth fighting and dying for. But even so, I loathe violence, whether or not it's actual or merely depicted. And yet, in spite of all that, this movie sits somewhere near the top of my all-time favorite movies list. How is that possible? It's because I understand that in every artistic medium, everything has a purpose. We can say there's a time and place for everything. So it is with violence. In some movies, to communicate the depth and breadth of the message, violence is a crucial element, just like dissonance in music. Some of the most powerful, inspiring, thought-provoking stories, whether in real life or merely artistic works of fiction, are literally born in violence. The darker the sky, the more brightly the stars stand out. Isn't that true? And so I am able to deeply appreciate a violent movie because I understand that it is an art, and as in any other type of scene, if it's well presented and well placed, violence serves a crucial purpose. Just like in music. I want you to use whatever instrument you need for the sake of the music. But on the other hand, just as I despise a musician featuring their instrument merely because they can or because it's theirs, so also I cannot tolerate movies in which violence is simply there for its own sake. And so sometimes you'll find me praising movies that seem, at least on the surface, dark and brutal, but there's always a good reason for it. And I want to tell you why this particular one sits so high on my list. Before that though, if you haven't seen this movie, please pause this video and go watch Denzel Washington and Gary Oldman in The Book of Eli. Oh, and Gary Oldman, I know him from Leon, the Professional.
You don't like Beethoven. You don't know what you're missing.
Another beautiful movie that I will talk about sometime. And what a great actor. Anyway, while you're busy watching, see if you can spot this bit of music in it. Rather violent, isn't it? Okay, so the plot is simple, classically apocalyptic. 30 years after a nuclear holocaust, Eli travels on foot across the wasteland of the former United States, carrying a version of the Bible, which turns out to be the only one left on the planet. We learn that all the other Bibles have been intentionally burned at some point, with some people saying this was the reason for the war in the first place. A religious war? Now, Carnegie, played by Gary Oldman, rules a small town which happens to sit on a spring of water, and he's desperately looking for a copy of the Bible. The movie revolves around the conflict between the two, Eli and Carnegie, with Carnegie eventually taking the Bible from Eli, only to find out that he cannot read it. Eli finally gets to Alcatraz Island, where he finds a group intent on preserving whatever remains of literature and music. There, he dictates the King James Version of the Bible to Lombardi, the sanctuary's leader. When completed, Eli dies, the Bible begins to be printed, and we see a final scene in which Lombardi places a copy of it on a bookshelf between the Torah and the Quran. I've decided to change the format for this review, and instead of doing my usual selections of best scene and line, the most unexpected turn, saddest scene, and so on, I want to focus on why I have such appreciation for this movie. In fact, this is the movie through which I came to view Denzel Washington, the man, the person, with deep respect, and I'll tell you why. The main idea behind the movie is the role and the power of the Bible, and I'm going to use the Bible simply because that's what's being used in the movie, although it can easily be broadened to include any and all religious scriptures. And from this perspective, I like the fact that at the end of the movie, the Bible is placed between the Torah and the Quran. For Eli, it is the vehicle of his life. It's what fuels the faith that carries him forward year after year through all of the turns and challenges he meets. The scene in which Carnegie gets the Bible and shoots Eli in his abdomen is absolutely brilliant in its portrayal of what this book means to him, to Eli. You can read the desperation, the perplexity, and the agony in his eyes, even the struggle with doubt. And then the scene where Claudia demands Carnegie tell her what has happened to her daughter. Her hand accidentally lands on one of the Bible's pages as it's lying open on Carnegie's desk, and she starts to read with her fingers. Her face lights up for the first time, sending a powerful message. And, well, for many, this is the main point of the movie. The book is the guide to the perfect companion in life, which is okay. I mean, it's a great point, which is well presented, especially by Denzel. But for me, that's not it. From my perspective, the main point of the movie comes actually from the negative character, Carnegie. Consider for a moment. The entire world has collapsed and is literally struggling for survival to the point that some, maybe even many, have resorted to cannibalism. And it's not even food which is the primary need, but water. You can live much longer without food than without water, and you can't have food without having water to grow it. So, water is the essential element for survival. In such a situation, whoever controls the water controls the world, right? Wrong. Carnegie knows better than that. He has water, and we learn from Solana that he has not just one spring, but at least 3 more. But Carnegie knows that water will not suffice, as the end of his little empire proves. Water alone will not give him absolute control over the people. It might give him control over their actions, their behavior, but not their minds. Now, watch this scene where Carnegie decides to take the men and drive out to search for Eli and Solana. Redridge, his right hand, says,
Fucking hawk.
right? All this effort, expose themselves to extreme danger, burn precious gas. For what? For a book? Carnegie jumps like a spring and starts yelling.
It's not a fucking book! It's a weapon! A weapon aimed right at the hearts and minds of the weak and the desperate. It will give us control of them!
Did you hear that? A weapon. But Carnegie doesn't stop there.
If we want to rule more than one small fucking town, we have to have it. People will come from all over. They do exactly what I tell them if the words are from the book.
That's it. The absolute control. If he wants to control more than their actions, if he wants to gain control over their minds as well, he has to have the book. That is the key to the people's minds and hearts if the words are from the book, right? But how does he know that? Listen to what he says.
It's happened before, and it'll happen again. All we need
History
is
repeats
book.
itself, right? Which history? Well, since this fiction takes place at some point in the future, Carnegie may very well be speaking about our time as the "it's happened before," right? Now, back to what I said at the beginning. In spite of its violence, even because of it, this movie is very special. We all know that Denzel is a Christian. He's said it many times, and it seems like he doesn't miss a single opportunity to say it out loud.
Number one, put God first.
You know, faith without works is nothing. So try to be an agent for good. You know, that's what I'm all about now. I'm in the service business.
Now, as a Christian, Denzel chose to play in a movie which presents the book not only as a guide for life, but also as a weapon to brainwash people and control their life. And I myself have very strong feelings when it comes to this. Sometimes on my other YouTube channel, Virgin Rock, someone will make the comment along the lines of, "Have you lived under a rock your whole life or what?" Maybe I have in terms of rock music, but let me tell you, I have personally witnessed the damage people can do using this book. Look, I live in Tennessee. This is Bible Belt country. I've seen and known abused children, abused girls, abused men, women, families. I've seen families destroyed. I've seen people brainwashed. I've seen lives ruined, utterly ruined by the people holding this book in their right hand and acting in its name. I have seen all of that and more. And I love the fact that this movie presents the book in such a way as being illegible to Carnegie. More broadly, no one seeking power over others is capable of seeing what is in the scriptures. Eli could read it. In fact, he had it memorized. Claudia could read it and understand even though she was blind. But Carnegie? Not a chance. And so I admire Denzel because I admire people who have a balanced approach. I think it takes a lot of self-examination, awareness, and commitment to stay balanced, to not fall into an extreme on either side. And I'm not talking here about one's personal religious beliefs or faith, or lack of faith for that matter, but about the capacity to discern between good and evil. Even when evil is done in the name of the book or a book, or I should say, especially when evil is done in the name of the book. To have one's eyes open, not to be blinded by the people of the book, and not only that, but to lay it open before the whole world. That's why I think The Book of Eli is a marvelous movie, and that time spent watching it is time well spent. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this movie. Like and subscribe for more. And this is Amy's cut on The Book